Hope everybody is staying safe. I am showing you the New York Times homepage because they have made all the data they have on the coronavirus accessible. And so if we click on this, you will see that it is available on GitHub. They also explain why this is important. To summarize, there is no, the federal government is not recording and sharing data on all of the cases. And then on a state-by-state basis, there's really inconsistent reporting, really incompatible formats and stuff like that. So the New York Times posted their data on their GitHub page, and it's coming in as CSVs, and they have it at the state and at the county level. And this is the map they generated from their own data source. So I thought we could grab this data and play around with it. First, I wanted to make some bar charts in R, and then we could switch over to Tableau and make some maps. And if everything goes well, we can make some animated maps. This data is clean. I haven't had to clean it up very much other than telling Tableau what format the variables are in. So I'm going to download this zip. I've already done this, but I'll do it again. Okay, so there's our master states and counties, what we got in there. Okay, so let's start in R. And I'm going to create a variable called states, and we'll set it equal to, let's see, a read underscore CSV. Let's library tidyverse if you haven't already. And let's see, this is going to be in my home folder, which is the tilde, and then downloads, which is capitalized. And then let's see, that's the name of my, oops, don't want to do that. Not trying to rename here. Okay, copy the name of that folder. Let me throw that in. And then us-states.csv, us-states.csv. Let's see if that worked. Let's see, view states. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so we just wanted to ggplot states. It's not going to be that incredible, I would think. Let's see, we could do AES, and we could do like state cases and geom call. And we could tweak that and adjust it and put it in order and everything, but it's gonna be kind of boring. So let's do something a little bit more interesting. I'm going to say states, and let's filter it. So the state includes North Carolina. First of all, let's make sure we're getting results. And that's looking good. And I'm going to do an arrange in descending order of cases. There we go. So we're getting some good numbers there. And you can see that our variable that's changing, in addition to cases and deaths, is date. So let's pipe this again and say ggplot. I'm going to say for the aesthetics, we want to put date on the x-axis, and then cases and geom call. Okay, and we can make that look a little bit better by giving it a coordinate flip. So that's the number of cases in North Carolina as they are ticking up over time. Let's see. Let's look at counties. I will do that as a read, underscore CSV again for downloads. And let's see, I can probably paste in the name of that folder again, and then I'm guessing it's uscounties.csv. All right, looks like that worked. So let's say counties and filter. And I think we could say like county includes Westchester, which is in New York. They have a lot of cases. So I'm gonna again arrange in descending order of cases just to get the numbers. Look at that, that's just crazy. Okay, so we could ggplot that. We'll get a really severe graph. So that would again be aesthetics of date, cases, and geom call and chord flip. And man, those numbers are really insane. Maybe it's better without a coordinate flip, I'm not sure. Yeah, that kind of looks, I don't know, potentially more interesting. Let's add, I'm going to say date cases, I'm going to say comma fill equals cases. I'll give it some color. That makes it look like things are getting better and better. So I'm going to say fill equals minus cases. Oh, I just hit something weird. Let me try that again. There we go. And that's looking good. We would want to adjust the title in the the X and Y axis labels. But that's not anything to worry about. So that's where we are now with Westchester County. Let me minimize that. So what else can we do with this data in Tableau? Well, actually, in Tableau, we can make some really cool maps with it. I've already imported this data, but in case you are working along with me and need a hand, we would import this as a text file. And you would just go into the folder and do counties and states to import it. Okay, so again, I've already done that. Let me start with states. Let's just make a basic map here. So you can see state is being read as a geospatial element, which is helpful. We just drag it over. I'm getting a really wide map because it's showing cases in Guam and Hawaii. Actually, this isn't showing cases, just the names of the states. So let's take cases and drag this over. I'm going to add it to size. As usual, this comes in as a sum, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to change it to a dimension and change it to a discrete measurement. Oh, I'm sorry, an attribute that's a discrete measurement. Oops. I'm sorry, a dimension that is, it's switched back from continuous to discrete. That looks about right. Let me check the numbers here. Cases in New York. Wyoming has 1. And we have 1. That seems wrong, doesn't it? And the reason that seems wrong is because it's wrong. Because this has a date series in it. So we go to our data source. Look, this goes back to January 21st. So we would probably want to play around with that. Make something a little nicer looking. Let's see. Let's switch back over. So I'm going to take date. I'm going to drag it into filters. When you do that, you get a very confusing menu, but you'll see at the top, how do you want to filter on date? Well, we want to do it with month, day, year. I've actually looked at the date, and I know it's written as month, day, year. So let me hit next. You can see month, day, year. So I'm just going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, click March 28th, which is the latest date with data, and then click OK, and you'll see we will get much more accurate results. And now in North Carolina, we're at 972 instead of, what was it, 1? And even Wyoming has 84 cases. All right. So if we wanted to adjust the appearance of this, let me just make sure. Dimension, yeah. Okay, that's good. I can go size, crank it up a little bit. If we're going to do that, I'm going to change the color. I'm going to bring it way down in its opacity. We can add a halo around these. That's not really doing much. Let me add a border. That's usually pretty intense. There we go. So now this is kind of looking like that New York Times map that we saw a little bit ago. Okay, if we wanted to show, like when we do a hover over it saying cases and state, it is not showing the date. So let me see if we can drag from filters down to tooltip. Ooh. Well, that changed the appearance of our map. I'm going to undo that and see if we can drag it to detail. That seemed to do the same thing. Well, that's okay. I mean, we did really blow this out, so I'll just bring the sizes down a little bit and change the opacity. Oh, the opacity is really low already. So now we're getting a really confusing map, it looks like. And you can see when we scroll kind of in and out, you can see, like, I'm on California here. It's going cases 11, 67. So, and you can see the date and the cases are changing at the same time. That's not really how we want this set up, right? I mean, that's not going to work. It's really confusing to interact with. It's the most basic sense. So let me get rid of that measurement. In fact, I'll just create a new sheet because this will give us an opportunity to play with county data. But the answer to the situation we were in a minute ago is it would probably be best to animate that. Play around now with this county data, which will be a little bit more useful. We were on states before. So I'm going to go down to county and I'll drag it over. And immediately you're getting all kinds of, these are just the counties that have reported. Getting a good map. Let's take it cases, and I'm going to drag this over as well. Now it's being read as sum. I'm going to change it to a dimension that is discrete. If you hover over, you'll see you're getting very low numbers. Now again, that's because of the date issue we're dealing with. So what we can do to animate date, rather than just picking a date, is to take date and drag it up here to pages. We dragged it last time to filters, to pick one date. I'm going to drag it up to pages and let go. So a couple of things happen. First of all, you'll see this new panel show up. It's like an animation panel. The other thing you might hopefully notice is that it's reading this date as year, and that is incorrect. Here, if we go to our data source, it is month, day, year. So going back to our sheet, we just have to tell it that. We can go down to day, and that's month, day, year. I'll click on that, even though it was written in text in that menu, and we have it numerically in the data. It still works. Tableau figures it out. Now, after you do that, it might look wrong because we just have one dot. Well, I believe that was our first confirmed case, and this is January 21st of 2020. So over here in our animation pane, I'm going to click on these are the speeds. I'll click on the fastest speed and hit play. All right, so that's an animation of the number of reported cases, and now we get up to 19, what have you. If we wanted to make this look a little better, we can take cases and drag it into size. I'm going to adjust it a little bit so it's more severe. I'm going to go to color, and let's make it red, low opacity, maybe not that low. Maybe with a halo. So that's looking like that New York Times map again. I'll bust up the size a little bit more. So I can make this a bit extreme. We'll create panic with this map. All right. And then I'm just going to drag this time slider back, and let's make sure it's on fast, and watch what we get now. When that animation is finished, you can hover over an individual. Let me go into presentation mode. You can hover over the individual circles and get interactives, right? So cases, county, and then it's going to give you day of date. It seems like these are all on March 28th, and that's not quite what we want. So we could probably change that by, let's see. Adjusting day and date in the tooltip by dragging it over. I'm not seeing, oh, here's date. Okay. So we could try to play around. I mean, there's a lot of presentations. We'd want to add a title. We'd probably want to adjust this. So it doesn't say sheet 12 and it has the date as a title and that kind of thing. But I think the animation is pretty solid in terms of showing a progression over time. Doing something like this in R would be much trickier, as we discussed, mapping. And R is pretty processor intensive and coding intensive, and mapping over time with animation is even trickier. So I would say in this case we are leaning on the strengths of R here, and the strengths of Tableau here. And I guess, in a sense, the strength of journalism in America. This is very good data. I assume this is going to continually be updated. You can see it was last updated 17 hours ago, so that was last night. I did want to point out one thing. Let's see, there's their map. Maybe we go to a local website, this is WRAL, and I hover over, for instance, like Orange County. Let's see. There we are. We have 29 cases here in Orange County. If I were an R, and I said, let's see, counties, and filter state includes North Carolina. Let's just make sure we're getting results. Yep. And I'll just do another filter rather than using a regular expression. Let's see. County includes Orange. So we're getting readings for all those. And you can see our cases here are being represented pretty well. So you can go down to individual case data, individual county data. I found when I mapped this in Tableau that not all counties were represented. And so on hover, I would do something like this and hover and be like, I would say like Orange County 0 or something like that. And that confused me. So I wanted to point out, they have a whole section on methodology here. We count patients where they're being treated, not necessarily where they live. That's very important, I think. So in a state like North Carolina, most people would be being treated, I would think, in Mecklenburg County and Charlotte, and in the Triangle, in the hospitals here. Not all, but I would think that that would affect the numbers. They also mentioned that the kind of patchwork approach here to data reporting is a little bumpy. Anyways, I still think it's without a doubt the best data we have available, and it seems like everyone is being counted. It's just the method in which they are being counted might be particular. So if you were to create an interactive map of North Carolina, you want to clarify that so people don't hover over Orange County and say, hey, what, where'd we go? Let's see. Yeah, so there's Wake, there's Durham, and I'm not seeing a listing for Orange here. And I'm guessing it's for that same reason. All right, so that's everything I've been doing with COVID-19 data. I hope you can make sense of that and get something out of it.